Emma,
Mark.
it is 11:30 in the morning, and you are standing in a brightly lit office hallway. You have just finished a big presentation for the senior marketing team. You feel good. You feel energetic. You see your senior colleague, a man who has been with the company for 20 years, walking toward the coffee machine. You stop him and ask what he thought about your suggestion to change the entire brand strategy next month. He looks at you, tilts his head slightly, and said that it was a very brave suggestion. You smile widely. You say, "Thank you so much. I really wanted to bring something bold to the table." You walk away thinking you are a hero, a courageous leader in the making. But as you walk away, your colleague is sighing and wondering how to tell the boss that your idea is actually a complete disaster.
That is a painful realization, isn't it? Welcome back to the Everyday English Podcast, where we help you navigate these tricky waters of daily life in English. I am Mark, and today we are talking about a very specific problem that almost every intermediate learner faces. It is what we call the English understatement, or the polite English trap. In our previous episodes, we have practiced how to listen to stories and how to understand professional vocabulary. But today, we are going deeper. We are going to look at the hidden meanings behind the words. If you want to make sure you never miss another social cue like this, make sure you are subscribed to the Everyday English Podcast and have your notifications turned on. By following our daily listening practice, you will start to hear these nuances automatically, which is the key to moving from intermediate to advanced fluency.
That word brave is a classic example, Mark. To a learner, brave means courageous. It means someone like a soldier or a hero. So when a native speaker calls your business idea brave, you think it is a compliment. But in the world of professional English, especially in British culture or formal American corporate culture, brave often means you are doing something very risky, perhaps even something foolish. It means I would never do that because I think it will fail. It is a way of giving a warning without being rude. And this is why so many learners feel like they are hitting a wall. They understand the words, they know the grammar, but they are missing the social message.
Exactly, Emma. And this happens because native speakers often prioritize social harmony over directness. They do not want to hurt your feelings, or they want to remain professional and polite even when they disagree. This creates what we call the subtext. Today, we are going to give you a toolkit to decode this subtext. We are going to look at 3 major phrases that often mean something very different from their dictionary definition. We will start with the most famous one of all, the word interesting.
Oh, the word interesting is truly the most dangerous word in the English language. I remember a student of mine who moved to London for work. She spent 3 hours cooking a very traditional dish from her country for her new roommates. After they took the first bite, one of them looked up and said, "Oh, that's an interesting flavor." My student was so happy. She thought they loved it because it was unique. But then she noticed that they didn't finish their plates. Later, she realized that interesting was a polite way of saying, "I don't like this, but I don't want to tell you your cooking is bad." It is all about the tone of voice, isn't it? Let's try a little experiment for our listeners. I am going to say the word interesting in 3 different ways. Emma, I want you to tell the listeners what each one actually means. Here's the first one. That's really interesting. That one is easy. Mark's voice went up at the end. It was high-pitched and fast. This is a genuine compliment. It means I'm curious, I want to know more, and I'm surprised in a good way. If you hear this, you should keep talking. Okay, here's the second one. That's interesting. Notice the difference. Mark's voice was flatter. It was slower. He paused for a moment before saying it. This usually means I'm thinking about it, but I might have some doubts. It's neutral. It's not a green light, but it's not a red light yet. It's a yellow light. You should probably explain your idea more clearly because he isn't fully convinced. And here's the third one, the one our listeners really need to watch out for. That's interesting. Did you hear that long pause and the way the voice went down at the end? That is the polite red light. When the word interesting is said slowly with a falling intonation, it almost always means I don't like it or I think it's weird. In a business meeting, if you propose a new deadline and your boss says, "That's an interesting timeline," they are actually telling you that your timeline is impossible and they are not happy about it. This leads us to our first actionable tip for today. If someone calls your work or your idea interesting, do not just say thank you. Instead, ask a follow-up question. You can say, "I'm glad you think so. Is there a specific part that caught your attention?" By asking this, you force the other person to be more specific.
If they were using interesting as a polite lie, they will have to explain their real thoughts. Try this today. The next time someone uses a vague adjective with you, ask them to be specific.
That is a great tip, Mark. Let's move on to our second major phrase in the polite trap. I'm not sure. On the surface, I'm not sure sounds like the person is confused. It sounds like they need more information. If I say, I'm not sure about the budget for this trip, you may think I just need to check my bank account. But in a professional or social negotiation, I'm not sure is often a very soft way of saying no or I disagree.
This is a huge one in international teams. Imagine you are in a meeting and you suggest hiring a new freelancer. Your manager says, I'm not sure if we have the capacity for that right now. A literal learner might respond by saying, oh, don't worry, the capacity is fine. I checked the schedule. They think they are helping the manager solve a problem of confusion. But the manager wasn't confused. The manager was actually saying, I don't want to hire a freelancer, and I am using I am not sure to avoid a direct confrontation.
It is a shield. We use I'm not sure as a shield to protect the other person's ego. If I say you are wrong, it sounds like an attack. If I say I'm not sure if that is correct, it sounds like a shared exploration of the truth. It is much more polite. But for you, the learner, it can be very frustrating because you feel like you are chasing a ghost. You try to provide more information, you try to prove your point, but the other person keeps saying they are not sure.
So how do we handle this? The key is to recognize that I am not sure is a signal to stop pushing and start listening. If someone says they are not sure, stop trying to convince them for a moment. Instead, ask, what are your main concerns? This shows that you have heard the hidden no and you are ready to discuss the real problem. It moves the conversation from a hidden disagreement to an open discussion. This is how you build real professional trust in English. You show them that you are culturally intelligent enough to hear what they are not saying.
That phrase, what are your main concerns, is a powerful tool. It is respectful but direct. It tells the other person that you are listening between the lines. Let's look at our third phrase, which is a bit more formal but very common in offices and even in serious discussions with friends. It is the phrase, with all due respect. Mark, what do you think when you hear someone start a sentence with those words?
I immediately prepare for an argument. It is one of the funniest phrases in English because most of the time, when someone says, with all due respect, they are about to say something that shows they have zero respect for your opinion. It is a formulaic way of saying, I am about to disagree with you very strongly, but I am using this phrase so I don't get in trouble for being rude.
It is almost like a warning bell. If you are in a meeting and someone says, with all due respect, I think we are headed in the wrong direction, they are basically saying you are making a mistake. The dictionary says due respect means the respect that is owed to you, but the subtext says, I have to say this to be polite, but I think your idea is bad. For an intermediate learner, this can be very confusing because the words sound so positive. Respect is a good thing, but the context tells a different story.
This is where listening to the rhythm of the conversation is so important. These phrases act as transitions. They signal a change in the emotional temperature of the room. If the conversation was friendly and suddenly someone uses a formal phrase like with all due respect, the temperature has just dropped. They are moving from a casual conversation to a formal disagreement. As a listener, you need to adjust your own tone to match. Don't stay too casual if the other person has moved into this formal defensive mode.
We also need to talk about the word quite. This one is famous for causing international incidents, especially between British and American speakers, and it is a nightmare for learners. Mark, if I tell you that your presentation was quite good, how do you feel? Well, if I'm thinking in American English, I feel great. To an American, quite usually means very. Quite good means very good. But if I'm thinking in British English, I might feel a bit disappointed. In British English, quite often acts as a modifier that means less than very. It means it was okay, but not amazing. It was quite good, but it could have been better. And this is the trap. If you are a learner working with a British boss and they say, your report was quite interesting, you have two problems. First, you have the word quite, which might mean not very. And you have the word interesting, which we already know might mean bad. So quite interesting could actually be a very polite way of saying your report was a bit of a mess.
It is exhausting, isn't it? But
But don't worry, listeners. You don't have to memorize every single possible combination. The goal of our podcast is to help you develop a cultural ear. This means you start to listen for the balance of the sentence. Native speakers like to balance a negative thought with a positive-sounding word. This is the heart of the understatement. Instead of saying, "This is a huge problem," they will say, "This is a bit of a problem."
Oh, a bit of a problem is a classic. I once knew a project manager who called a client and said, "We have a bit of a problem with the delivery." The client, who was a learner, thought it was a small issue. So he said, "Okay, call me next week when it is fixed." But the project manager actually meant the entire truck had crashed and all the products were destroyed. To the project manager, a bit of a was just a way to stay calm and professional. To the learner, it meant tiny.
This is a great habit for you to practice in your own speaking, actually. If you want to sound more natural and less aggressive in English, start using these modifiers. Instead of saying, "I am busy," try saying, "I am a bit busy at the moment." Instead of saying, "That is expensive," try saying, "That is a bit over my budget." It softens the language and makes you sound more like a native speaker who understands social dynamics. This is a very simple change you can make today. Just add a bit of to your negative statements. It sounds much more friendly.
And that is exactly what our Everyday English podcast is all about. Taking these small, real-life adjustments and making them part of your daily routine. We want you to feel comfortable not just with the grammar, but with the feeling of the language. If you are finding this helpful, it really helps the show if you like this episode and share it with a friend who is also studying English. It helps us reach more people who are trying to live their daily lives in English, just like you.
Now, let's talk about how to solve this problem when you are the one listening. How do you respond when you suspect someone is trapped in this polite language? How do you get to the truth? We call this the directness invitation. You want to give the other person permission to be honest.
This is so important. Many native speakers are actually waiting for you to give them permission to be direct. They are worried about being the rude foreigner or the mean boss. You can break this cycle by using a very simple script. You can say, "I really value your honest opinion, so please don't worry about being direct." Or you can say, "I'm looking for ways to improve, so feel free to tell me the pros and cons."
I love that. Feel free to tell me the pros and cons. It is such a professional way to ask for a critique. It shows that you are strong and that you can handle the truth. When you say this, you are telling the other person that they don't need to use the polite trap anymore. You are opening a door to a much more productive conversation.
Let's practice a scenario. Mark, imagine I am your employee, and I have just given you a design for a new website. You think the colors are terrible, but you are being a polite boss. You say, "Emma, these colors are certainly bold. They are very interesting." How should I respond to that?
Well, first, you should notice my hesitation. I said they were bold and interesting. I didn't say they were beautiful or perfect. So you could respond by saying, "Thank you, Mark. I was trying something different, but I'm not sure if it's too much. I'd love your honest feedback. Do you think these colors work for our brand, or should we try something more traditional?"
See what Mark did there? He gave me a choice. He said, "Do you think they work, or should we try something else?" By giving two options, he makes it very easy for me to pick the second one without feeling like I am attacking his work. I can simply say, "Actually, I think trying something more traditional might be a safer bet." Now the problem is solved, and no one's feelings are hurt.
This is the secret to high-level English communication. It is not about knowing the biggest words in the dictionary. It is about managing the relationship between the speakers. This is what we mean when we say English grammar and context. It is the context of the relationship that matters most.
We have covered a lot today. We talked about the word brave being a warning, the 3 different tones of interest in, the hidden no inside I am not sure, and the irony of with all due respect. We also looked at how quite and a bit of a can change the entire meaning of a sentence. It feels like a lot to remember, doesn't it?
It does, but you don't have to learn it all in one day. That is why our podcast episodes are designed to be listened to more than once. The first time you listen, you just want to understand the main ideas. The second time you listen, you should focus on the intonation, the way our voices go up and down. Shadow the way we say the words interesting or I'm not sure. The third time you listen, try to write down the phrases we suggested for your toolkit. This repetition is how real fluency is built. It is like training a muscle.
And we have a challenge for all of you today. We call it the eavesdropping challenge.
Over the next 24 hours, I want you to listen to any English media. It could be another podcast, a movie, a YouTube video, or even a real conversation at work. I want you to listen for one of our trap words. Listen for interesting, brave, quite, or I'm not sure. When you hear it, stop and ask yourself, what is the subtext here? Is this a compliment, or is it an English understatement?
If you can, try to look at the speaker's face or listen to the pauses in their voice. Does their voice fall at the end? Do they hesitate before the word? This kind of active listening is more powerful than any textbook. It turns the whole world into your English classroom. And if you find a great example, come back to this video and leave a comment. Tell us what you heard and what you think it actually meant. We love reading your stories because it helps everyone in our community learn together.
It really does. And remember, the goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to be aware. Even if you realize 5 minutes later that you missed a subtext, that is a victory. It means your cultural ear is starting to wake up. Next time, you will realize it in 4 minutes, then 3 minutes, and eventually you will hear it in real time. You will be standing in that office hallway, and when your colleague says your idea is brave, you will know exactly what to do. You will smile, and then you will ask, what part of the plan concerns you the most?
That is the moment you truly start living your life in English. You are no longer just a student, you are a participant. You are navigating the social world with confidence. That is what we want for every single one of you. We are so proud of the progress you are making by showing up every day for this listening practice. It takes time, it takes patience, but it is so worth it.
Before we go, let's do a quick recap of the most important phrase for your response toolkit. If you only remember one thing from today, let it be this. I value your honest opinion, so please feel free to be direct. This phrase is your superpower. It breaks the polite trap and lets you get the information you need to succeed. Use it in your meetings, use it with your friends, and use it with your teachers. It will change the way people talk to you in English.
And if you want more practice with professional conversations, we have an entire series of 1-hour deep dive podcasts that you can listen to while you are commuting or doing chores. Those longer episodes are perfect for building that long-term listening stamina. You can find them right here on our channel. The more you listen, the more natural these patterns will become. You are doing a great job, and we are here to support you every step of the way.
Thank you for spending your break with us today on the Everyday English Podcast. It is such a pleasure to be part of your daily routine. Don't forget to hit that like button if you learned something new today. It really helps other learners find this lesson. We'll be back tomorrow with another real-life conversation to help you build your fluency one step at a time.
Keep listening, keep practicing your shadowing, and most importantly, keep being curious about the world around you. Every conversation is a chance to learn something new about the English language and the people who speak it. You have the tools, you have the talent, and you definitely have the courage to keep going. We will see you in the next episode.
Happy studying, everyone. You are doing brilliantly. See you soon.